Welcome to This Birding Life, a podcast for birdwatchers everywhere. I'm your host, Bill Thompson III. This Birding Life comes to you from Birdwatchers Digest, where we've been publishing great content for birdwatchers since 1978. Sample what we have to offer at birdwatchersdigest.com. And remember, Birdwatchers Digest is more than just a magazine. Stay tuned, and at the end of this podcast, there's a special subscription offer. Now we'd like to thank our sponsors, Carl Zeiss Sports Optics, makers of the amazing Victory SF binocular and the stunning Harpia spotting scope. You can join the Zeiss community of birders at facebook.com/ZeissBirding. Red Start Birding offers optics, gear, and expertise to birders and nature lovers, plus unbeatable customer service. Give Red Start a try at redstartbirding.com. Finally, the American Birding Expo is your opportunity to experience the world of birding in one place. This September 21 to 23, 2018, in Oaks, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia. More than 130 exhibitors from all over the world will be there. Learn more at birdingexpo.com. This is episode 84, A Birder's Guide to Murder with JR Ripley. Novelist-musician Glenn Eric Meganck, a.k.a. JR Ripley, Nick Lucas, and other names, is the critically acclaimed author of the Maggie Miller Beignet and Coffee Shop Mysteries from Severn House, the Kitty Carlisle Pet Chef Mysteries from Severn House, and the Bird Lovers Mystery Series from Kensington, and other novels. He's penned novels in a variety of categories, including literary, popular fiction, mystery, crime novels, young adult, and children's books. JR is a member of the Mystery Writers of America, but he's also a songwriter, and he often performs his original songs live. Regarding his mystery series, JR says, "Plenty of people get killed, but nobody really gets hurt." He currently resides in Florida and North Carolina, and I caught him for this interview in North Carolina just as the latest hurricane, Florence, was bearing down on his part of the United States. Here's my interview with JR Ripley. All right, JR Ripley, welcome to This Birding Life. It's a pleasure to have you here to talk about the things that you do, and I hope everything's going okay in your world right now.
Yeah, it's great. Thanks, Bill.
Good. You're not in the path of the hurricane right now, are you?
Unfortunately, yes, we are. Otherwise, I was going to be traveling today, but now I'm in hurricane preparedness mode. Yeah.
Oh, gosh. What are you doing to prepare for that?
Moving anything loose outside, inside.
Oh, my gosh.
Furniture and things like that. Bird-related items, the feeders and all that sort of thing.
Although I guess it's important to get the bird feeders back up after the hurricane because a lot of food sources might be kind of wiped out by that.
Yeah, and those things we won't even put in the house or in the garage until, I think, late tomorrow.
Yeah, well, gosh, good luck with it.
Thanks. I don't think we're going to get any weather till Thursday, maybe.
Okay. All right. Well, so the reason I wanted to talk to you is not necessarily about the weather, although we could talk about that all day. It's to talk about your series of books that you do that are particularly of interest to birders. Can you tell us what those are?
I write the Bird Lovers Mystery Series, coincidentally. And the first book, Die Die Birdie, came out originally a couple years ago, just came out in mass market, I think, last week again. And the woman there, Amy Sims, she owns a small birding store, a store for bird lovers in a small town called Ruby Lake in North Carolina, a fictional town. But it's a store similar to something like, obviously, what most of your readers know, Wild Birds Unlimited, which is what I based it on.
Nice. And so what does in your typical story, what kind of things does Amy come up against?
Well, I'm not sure what typical is because she gets involved in murder every time, which is what cozy mysteries do. In the first book, Die Die Birdie, she buys the house in town, which then also becomes her place of business on the ground floor. And unbeknownst to her, there are some other folks there who are looking for something that's hidden in the house. And she stumbles on a dead body right there in that first book. In other books, they might be out on a bird walk or doing something else related to birding, and Yeah, there's always a dead body, not a bird body, but a dead body.
Oh boy. Well, you know that, and that's thankfully that's not typical of most bird watchers' activities. It's
Yeah.
that's it. And these books of yours have been very popular.
Yeah, they're doing really well for me, which is nice. I'm now 9 into the series.
My goodness.
Yeah.
And no stopping. No sign of like a farewell from the heroine.
No, not that I've been told. So let's go.
Good. Well, how did you get started writing, JR?
I have always written. I always wanted to. It's just something I do, like any other, like breathing. I mean, just like so many other people have hobbies or whatever that they like to do. I've always written. I can remember being in second grade in school, and I would charge people a quarter to write papers for them. I mean,
Wow.
quarters a quarter.
And then by fourth grade, you probably had a literary agent, huh?
No, but I think I had my first things published probably when I was around 16 or 17, which would have been poetry and things in magazines. And then I had a book out when I was maybe 18, even, I think.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So this is something that it comes naturally to you. Obviously, I mean, you're very prolific. It's always amazing to me to see the how many, like it's a mere months between books for you. It seems like.
It is, yeah, literally 2, 3 months for a while there last year. They put out the bird books every other month, so I had to write them pretty quickly. But yeah, for me, the writing, like both of us, you're a musician, I'm a musician. It's something I do every day, and I don't feel good unless I do have a chance to write or to work on my music. I do both, and just like you. I mean, don't you feel better when you get to work on your music and play a guitar or something?
Absolutely. And you feel kind of something's missing when you don't get to.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what it is for me.
I totally get that. But you tell us a little bit about the music that you do.
Well, over the years, I've done a lot of different music, and songs get recorded by different people. Like so many musicians, I've been in various bands. Now I just perform solo here and there. I have a show coming up at early October that I'm doing, an outdoor festival. But other than that, the books keep me so busy between the working on them and promotional support for them that I don't get as much chance to do live performance as I would like.
Right.
But I've always got a studio as well in the house.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. That's something that I think when you and I first met, I was asking you questions about, your career and how you got started in music and birding and stuff like that. And then we've actually played a little bit of music. I seem to remember last year at the expo, we played now did that theme song for the Bird Lovers Mystery? Did that?
Yeah, I was asked by my publisher, Kensington, for the Bird Lovers Mystery series to write a song about the series or about the book that was coming out for Christmas last year, How the Finch Stole Christmas. And so actually what I did was take an old song of mine that had done well for me in the past because I'm lazy. And so I actually just rewrote the lyrics to that song, which became the Bird Lovers Mystery songs, I remember. And we did that one, the Expo last year. That's right.
Yeah, and I remember sitting there. We have someplace we have a little phone video file of it, and you were in full zombie makeup regalia.
That's right. Yeah, from the what was that? Walker Fest?
Walker Stalker. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, so, I remember sort of half jokingly saying to you, "Hey, we got this zombie convention, which is the Walker Stalker. It's a fan event for The Walking Dead." And I remember sort of half joking to you that, hey, somebody could get murdered at the expo and nobody would know because there are all these people going around in bloody, like zombie slasher makeup. And I guess that some parts of that conversation took hold.
Yeah, because, when you're having a Walking Dead sort of zombie festival next to a birding festival, obviously you want to include something from that. So there are portions of the novel that do take place at the what I call Zombie Fest, since I didn't use the name of the actual event for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about the new book?
The book that takes place at the expo is book I'm going to forget, book 8 of the Bird Lovers Mystery series. And while all of the other titles, the editor had thought, okay, you know, after Die Die Birdie, he thought, wouldn't it be nice if every book had the name of a bird in the title so that then they could feature a specific bird on every cover? So book 2 was Towey Get Your Gun. Book 3 was The Woodpecker Always Pecks Twice. Book 4 was Kill a Hummingbird, you know, and so on. But for book 8, I said to him, you know, it's a little different, and looking at the audience for the expo at the event, I thought maybe we could change it for that one. So that book is called A Birder's Guide to Murder. And in that, Amy, our protagonist in the series, and as well as her boyfriend, Derek, and a couple of her friends and co-workers, and a woman named Esther, who is a senior citizen who's also sort of the thorn in her side, who she inherited Esther when she bought the house because Esther was a tenant in the house where her business was located. So, and Esther's a very secretive person and also a very, well, she speaks her mind, you know. So in that book, A Birder's Guide to Murder, because we're going to Philadelphia to the American Birding Expo, they drive up there and they get a booth, and that's where everything ensues and the murder occurs.
Wow. Well, I can't wait to read the finished thing, and I'm gonna ask a colleague of mine to read an excerpt that you sent me of the book to get people primed. But let's dial back in time a little bit. How did you get interested in birding?
The birding, you know, I've always loved nature and wildlife and all that, like all birders obviously would. But unlike so many birders that I've met who talk about, I guess it's very typical when, you know, you're maybe a teenager or younger and you become, you know, and there's that spark bird. Is that what you say, right?
Oh yeah, spark bird. That's
So
it.
I really didn't have that. I mean, like I said, I always loved nature and wildlife and all that. But, you know, I grew up in Michigan and the suburbs. I've mostly lived in the suburbs. And then we moved to Florida when I was younger. And really, it wasn't until we moved up here to North Carolina 10 years ago or something, and had more land and lived next to a big preserve and a creek, and really just took the time to enjoy more nature. And we had more space and put up our first bird feeder. I don't think we even had one in Florida, maybe. But here, I put up a feeder on the tree, which of course is, you know, the gateway device to becoming a birder. So you start looking at everything that's, you know, all the birds that are coming to your feeder, and you start thinking, what was that bird? What was that bird? What's this bird? Why don't these kinds of birds come? You know, and so you start looking at the food, and why are the squirrels all over it all the time? So the next thing you know, you're buying baffles and you're buying more feeders because certain birds like this food, other birds like that food. You know, and before you know it, we have a huge metal tree in our yard covered with feeders of all sorts. And then we decided, we're not feeding the hummingbirds, so we got to get a hummingbird feeder. And now I think we probably have 5 or 6 hummingbird feeders, and I have no idea how many regular bird feeders, and certainly a dozen or more nesting boxes and the like. So it just sort of grew, and as it grew, I appreciated it more and more, and you know, came to really love it. And not a day goes by I'm not looking at the birds and seeing what's there, or even the
Yeah.
bugs, you know. I mean,
Yeah, it's so cool to. I mean, so many of us started out by noticing a bird at our feeders, and to be able to carry that with you, it's really. I very much appreciate having birding and music in my life because they've been there kind of as a constant through all the changes of, you know, getting older and moving and, you know, different career things and family
we're not
stuff.
getting older, are we?
We're getting better,
We're getting
like
better.
fine wine. Now, you also write other series. Am I right?
I mean, over the years, I've had a lot of different series. Currently, I have 2 other series in the same vein that would be called that sort of cozy mystery series. And by that,
What's that mean by cozy?
I mean, a lot of
I'm
people don't
interested in
understand.
that
I mean,
phrase.
you know, it's one of those things, you know, booksellers and publishers need labels, and I understand that. And the cozy mysteries, I always say, my tagline is always that plenty of people get killed, but nobody really gets hurt. And so there's no on-screen, as it were, violence or sex or bad language or anything like that. It's always, it's always about the mystery, but I kind of try to keep them humorous as well and not too dark or heavy. You know, not just think Murder She Wrote sort of a thing. You know.
Right. Right. And I know that, when we go to birding festivals, or you've been to a reader rendezvous with us before, there's a kind of a club like feel to that. There's like, you're part of a tribe of people that are all share mutually share an interest in this case, birds. Are murder mystery fans similar in that way, kind of clannish, and sort of they have kind of a communal set of kind of attributes?
Well,
or
sure. I mean, I just got back. That's why my throat is still raw. I mean, I've been traveling every week to events, and the last one I just got back from yesterday was called BoucherCon. That's the world's largest mystery convention. Every year it takes place in a different town. This year it was in St. Pete Beach, Florida, and they get about 1,500 people. And it's just a celebration of all things mystery with hundreds of authors and fans from all around the world. I had a woman come to one of my signings who had not an author, just a fan who had, not just of mine, but I mean, a mystery fan who had come all the way from Australia. And she wasn't the only one. People really love the mysteries, sort of like people love birds, Sure.
Mm-hmm. And as a writer, are you also a consumer of the written word? I mean, do you read
Constantly,
quite
sure.
a bit?
I read probably 2-3 books at the same time, and go. I don't know how many books I go through in a day. And of course, when you go to an event like I was just at, you come home with an extra suitcase full of books every time. There's,
Right.
there's so
Right.
much, and yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Or do you have big influences on you, on your writing, that people that you read earlier in your career that you thought, wow, that I'd really like to emulate that person?
Well, the within the mystery field, no, because I really didn't actually start out reading mysteries or writing mysteries. I
Hmm.
really like literature, and I grew up reading Vonnegut and Huxley and Hesse and Alexander Dumas and folks like that, and sci-fi, a lot of sci-fi. So I was a late comer to mysteries, and I don't even think, and I write other genres as well, but even when I was writing the first mysteries that I wrote, and that's some years ago, I never actually thought of them as mysteries. I was told those are mysteries. And I
Mm-hmm.
try not to read too much in the like, say, the cozy genre that I now have the 3 series in,
Sure.
because I don't want to pick up any of their ideas or have their voice work its way into my books. You know what I mean? So you have to
Right.
be careful of that. I mean, I do read friends' books, but I try not to read too much. And I also try never to read 2 books in a row by the same author for that same reason, because I'm afraid it might creep into my writing.
Rub off on you.
Yeah, exactly. I might start picking up their, not that there's anything wrong with anything they're doing, but I just don't want to, I have to maintain my voice. And,
I get it.
and
It's the same way with songwriting too.
of course,
There are people that I love and listen to all the time, but every now and then I'll catch myself going, you know what? That's just a little bit too,
yeah, yeah.
Neil Young or whatever.
Exactly. If I listen to the same artist too much in a row, it would influence what I was doing as well if I was writing. And then also, because I'm writing 3 different series, they're similar, but again, the voicings are a little different, in terms of the characters, and the style of writing varies a little bit, because I mean, again, I can't write them all the same, even though the names are different. I try to keep them different as well.
Yeah, it must be kind of tough, writing a series and being as prolific as you are with a book coming out every other month. It must be kind of tough to not like start repeating yourself or fall into a rut. How do you guard against that?
Uh, I hopefully it comes naturally, because I really don't have a real method, except that, I like, even with writing the books, I try not to write 2 books in the same series in a row. And I do look back at what I've done. And yeah, you really don't want to repeat yourself. I guess as you get into a series, if I get to book 20 in this series, for instance, with the Bird Lovers Mysteries, then you'd have to start making sure you're not, using the same plot devices or killing someone off the same way for the third time in the 6 books, that sort of thing. So I try to keep them fresh and feature a different bird in each one. And then in the other series, because the settings are different too, the possibilities then for murder and for the situations, the one series is a TV pet chef series in LA. So that person lives in a different sort of world than Amy lives in
Wait,
Carolina.
TV pet chef?
Yeah, it's a TV Pet Chef Murder series that I do of cozies that take place in Los Angeles is one of the series. Of course, I don't write that as JR Ripley, but I write that as Marie Celine, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have other nom de plumes?
I have had over the years. Right now, those are the only names that I go by. The JR Ripley and the Marie Celine. Those are the only 2 currently running names. Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get some other names, man.
Yeah,
That's
it
just,
helps. As a writer, it helps because your name is sort of your brand.
mhm.
And so people have a certain expectation of what sort of book it's going to be, depending on the author's name, and you don't want to disappoint them or shock them, right?
Right. But you don't try to protect against people knowing necessarily that it's you, do you? Or do you?
No, I don't. I mean, I'm Glenn Meganck. JR Ripley is a pseudonym too. And it's just a name that was come up with because I was doing books besides mysteries. And when the first mysteries were coming out, the first series, I think some years ago, I needed a pen name for them because the other books were not mysteries. And JR is, I have 2 children, Jeremy and Rita. That's JR. And Ripley is from Tom Ripley, who's one of my favorite fictional characters written by Patricia Highsmith and the talented Mr. Ripley. So,
Oh yeah. That's a movie that several of my friends have said to me that's their favorite movie.
yeah, it's an incredible character. Not a nice character, but an incredible character.
No. All right. So JR, can you set up the scene that we're going to read here in just a second?
All right. So again, Amy and her friends and coworkers have arrived at the American Birding Expo in Philly, and they've set up a booth there. And Amy is with Esther. This is toward the end of the 3rd chapter, leading up to the murder. J.J. Fuller is the name of a man who is the guest of honor at the expo, and he's a famed birder and photographer. And Esther has been acting a little strange, to say the least, and she wants Amy to follow her, and that's exactly where we pick up the scene.
Where are we going? I whispered as we passed an open office door through which I saw several figures seating at computer desks. Hold your horseflies, we're almost there. I hoped so because I had no idea where we were. The expo center was humongous. I was hungry and I hadn't gotten much sleep. Esther snoring and insisting on setting the thermostat to 82 degrees Fahrenheit, I had seen to that. We came to a stop at a 3-way intersection. Esther looked left, then right. Maury jogged down the corridor to the right, keys jangling as they slapped against his hip. How had he gotten there so quickly? I thought this was supposed to be a birding expo, not a speedwalkers convention. What are you talking about? Come on, this way. Esther motioned for me to follow her and took the hall to the left. Several yards further, Esther mercifully came to a stop down a short, empty hallway. There were several unremarkable doors, 2 on the right, 1 on the left. The corridor dead-ended at a blank white wall just beyond the left-hand door. An overhead fluorescent light flickered on and off. Esther held up her finger to indicate I shouldn't make a sound. There had been no need. I was at a loss for words. Esther had always been puzzling, to say the least. Now I wondered if she had completely lost her mind. Esther placed her hand on the doorknob of a door marked private and turned it slowly. She stuck her nose in for a second, then beckoned me to follow her as she slipped inside. Stunned but more than a little curious, I did what every good horror film victim learns too late. If it seems like a scary bad idea, don't do it. Unfortunately, instead of listening to those hushed, frightened voices in the audience urging me not to do it, but rather to turn and run, I listened to Esther's impatient voice as she whispered harshly, "Get in here, Amy, be quick, and shut the door behind you." This better be good. "It's not," was Esther's ominous reply. I tiptoed in and shut the door. Would they kick us out if they caught us sneaking around unauthorized? Would I get my money back for the booth? The small room contained a small green sofa with sagging cushions, a mini fridge, a microwave, and a wooden table holding several bottles of hard liquor and wine. There was a window covered with a metal blind behind the sofa. Light slanted through the blind over the sofa and onto the industrial carpet. An empty glass and a bottle of Grey Goose lay on the floor. "You brought me here to see this hovel?" The claustrophobic room reeked of alcohol and sweat. I turned to leave. "Not so fast." Esther moved to a small door and pushed it open. "I brought you here to see this." I was presented with a partial view of a white porcelain bathroom sink. "A bathroom? Really, Esther? This is a complete waste of both our time." Esther beckoned me closer with her finger. I decided to take a look, if only to humor her before having her committed to an institution. This was Philadelphia. There had to be at least one mental hospital in the area with a vacancy. J.J. Fuller sat on the ground, his back against the wall, his knee against the toilet bowl. "Please tell me he's passed out drunk." Esther waited a beat before replying. "He's passed out dead is what he is." Peeking further, eyes adjusting to the dark, my heart froze in my chest. Are you sure?" Fuller's slack face fell to his chest. His clothing was rumpled. His eyes were hidden by the visor of his ball cap. "He's got no pulse." "Heart attack? Please let it be a heart attack." Esther shook her head side to side. "Stroke? Please, please, please let it be a stroke." "My guess is, first off, somebody clobbered him." "Clobbered? As in bludgeoned? As in murdered?" Esther flipped on the bathroom light. "Seems to me he got his head caved in by that pair of binoculars." I peeked over Esther's shoulder. A pair of binoculars lay at J.J. Fuller's side. The strap was broken at one end. "Maybe he slipped in his head." Esther turned off the light with the side of her finger. I didn't object. I'd seen too much already. "And maybe I'm the tooth fairy." I shuddered my eyes. I knew what tooth fairies looked like, at least in my imagination, and the woman before me was not it. I knew what a dead body looked like, too, including ones who had met violent ends. The body in the bathroom was a perfect match. Besides, Esther's words seemed to be coming at me from deep inside a tunnel with no end. I don't think that's what killed him. Either the killer clobbered him first to incapacitate him, and then slashed his neck, or vice versa. Esther turned her cold, hard eyes on me. "But what would be the point of clobbering a guy you've already killed?" "Slash his neck? Are you sure?" "You want me to turn the light on again?" "No," I gasped. J.J. Fuller had been murdered. As ironic as it sounded, it seemed I had another dead body to add to my life list.
Well, JR, it's going to be great to have you at the expo this year. I'm sorry we didn't get to talk earlier, so we could have had more weeks of build-up for people to come see you. But we're excited to have you. You're going to be speaking and talking about your books, and I think signing them at the expo. So real looking forward to seeing you there and to hearing more about A Birder's Guide to Murder.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The American Birding Expo is wonderful. I had a great time last year researching the book there.
Well, and I'm really sorry not to have the zombies this year. I may see if I can scrounge a few up in the Philly area to show up so you feel more at home.
I'll bring my makeup kit. Yeah.
All right, JR. Thank you so much for talking to us, and best of luck with the series as they go on.
Thank you, Bill.
Special thanks to JR Ripley for letting us see behind the scenes of his Bird Lovers Mystery Series. And thanks to Sarah Clark at Birdwatcher's Digest for reading from JR's book, A Birder's Guide to Murder. You can catch JR talking about his new mystery, which is set at the Birding Expo, at the 2018 American Birding Expo on Saturday afternoon, September 22 at 3 p.m. in the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center. And of course, you can get JR books at fine bookstores everywhere, as well as online. And now, a shout out to our sponsors. If you're not reading Birdwatcher's Digest, you're simply not living your fullest possible birding life. You can change this by visiting birdwatchersdigest-digital.com. And if you'd like to subscribe to Birdwatcher's Digest, here's a special offer for listeners to This Birding Life. Simply go to birdwatchersdigest.com/TBL and subscribe. You'll get a special $5 off deal. We hope you'll take advantage of it. Carl Zeiss Sports Optics makes top flight binoculars and scopes for birding. You can join the Zeiss community of birdwatchers at facebook.com/ZeissBirding. At Red Start Birding, we look forward to changing the way you see the natural world. Visit redstartbirding.com for the best in birding optics and gear. Finally, the American Birding Expo is the world of birding in one place. Join us this fall in Philadelphia and experience the birding lifestyle for yourself. birdingexpo.com. That's it for this episode, peeps. Subscribe to the RSS feed if you haven't already so you won't miss a single monthly episode. And you can send us comments to editor@birdwatchersdigest.com. That comes right to me. Until next time, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you out there with the birds. This is BT3 saying laters.